got the flywheel back from the machine shop, and they luckily were able to get it back in spec. It was very cupped, like warped this way, and there were some cracks in the surface of it from heat, but they were able to machine all the cracks out and should be straight now, which is a relief because a new one of those was going to be very hard to find and cost a ton, so this is a much better outcome. I should have thought of this sooner, but I also need new bolts for the flywheel. I looked in the service manual for this motor, and it doesn't say that they're torqued to yield, but they're supposed to be torqued to about 150 foot-pounds. And from what I can find about half-inch bolts online, that's well beyond the torque where I'd expect them to yield, so I gotta find some more bolts. Well, since I don't have the bolts I need to do the flywheel, which is kind of the first thing I need to do before I put any of the clutch and transmission stuff back together, I'm going to do the other big thing I need to do, which is kind of clean and redo this whole floor. And the first thing I got to do with that is pull this seat out. All right, the seat should not be attached to anything anymore. Okay. Huh, there's a middle belt. Who knew? Alright. So now I gotta clean the shit out of this, paint the rusty parts, and put the new flooring in when it shows up.
Help me escape from this desert sea. A lot of things that the devil.
Got the whole cab pulled apart and wire wheeled, really just the rusty parts, and I'm trying not to be too perfect about it just because I need this thing back up and running, and I'd have to basically pull the whole cab off to get it perfect. But my overall plan is paint all the rusty stuff with the rust reformer spray paint, and then cut out some patches that really need to be replaced, mostly this area right here, because there's leaks coming down from right around here on both sides. I think it's probably the corners of the windshield or the something having to do with the panel that goes at the bottom of the windshield, but I'm not gonna fix that right now. I'm just gonna get this dealt with and painted so that it won't keep getting worse, and then deal with that leak in the near future. So I have all the floor panels out that I could take out, and I'm just in the middle of painting them. Again, not going for perfect. This is all going to be under a mat, but just want to prevent it from continuing to rust. Then once all that's done, I'll be putting down this neoprene stuff and then this rubber mat and screwing it all back down, and that'll be my new floor. Oh, and putting this sound deadening stuff underneath all of that. Pulled a bit of a dumbass move here with the inside of the cab. I was screwing in the cross piece that goes across here, and when I tightened down the bolts, big chunks of rust broke off, so I realized I should really go through with a hammer and make sure I knocked everything loose, which I have now done, but means that I need to repaint a large part of this and part of this thing as well. That's the cross piece. So that set me back a little bit, but in the meantime, I found a piece of sheet metal, or Denzolo found a piece of sheet metal that I can use to patch this area, which is the only really bad part. There's like pinholes in other places, and I might cut out a bigger chunk, but this is the one really bad spot, and sort of down in here as well. So I'm going to cut this out and start prepping that to try to weld it back up.
Don't wanna waste my integrity. I'm just a man living a one-night stand. I'll tell you what I need. Oh, Black Creek, take me to that place and wash my sins away. Oh, Black Creek, take me to that place. Wash my sins away.
This escalated a bit. I just kept finding more and more rotten metal, and there's still some up here, but I think this is going to be a problem for another time. Just, it's not that bad and kind of a pain to deal with. I'm kind of stalled out on the floor of the cab because I need sheet metal, and it's Sunday, so I can't get any till tomorrow. So in the meantime, I'm going to get the flywheel and clutch back in because I now think I have all the parts I need. Got the surface of the flywheel cleaned up. It's been sitting out here for a bit now, so it got a little rusty. It all cleaned up nice, and I got to install this new pilot bearing, but I don't have any spec on how far in the bore it's supposed to sit, so I'm just going to go off the fact that there's some rust spots in there that end about 1/8 of an inch in or 1/4 of an inch in, and presumably that means that the bearing stopped at that point before, so I'm just going to push it in until it's just past that and call it good. It was not wanting to go in square. There we go. Now the flywheel needs to go in there. It's pretty heavy, so this is kind of a pain. I'm sure there's a smarter way to do this, but I don't know what it is. Okay, come on. I think I need a hammer. There we go. Now I should be able to use these to pull this thing on the rest of the way. And then I'll clean it up, and then I should be able to install the clutch. Oh, dang it. I gotta block the engine somehow. Took me a minute, but found a solution that worked, which was just to throw one of the clutch bolts back in and put a bar against it. I'm really hoping it doesn't bend the bolt, but I don't have a better solution, so I'm just gonna roll with it. This is 150 foot-pounds. Oh, jeez. Oops. Belt came undone. Can't seem to find a foothold that's not in the way of the camera. Last check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Whew. Huh. Bolt seems okay. Sweet. Not sure how visible it's going to be, but I also noticed that the pilot bearing seems to have pushed back out a bit in the process of installing this. I think there actually isn't that much clearance between the back end of the crankshaft in here and the inside face of the bearing, so I'm going to push it back in a little bit more and just try to get the front of the bearing below the surface of the flywheel, but I don't want it touching the end of the crankshaft because then this inner race will just end up spinning with that instead of with the input shaft, or they'll be fighting. So I'm just going to tap this in probably another millimeter and call it good. Huh. Kind of feels like it's touching something, which would not be ideal, but I can't feel it touching anything as it spins here, so I guess that's going to be good enough. Just so you can see what I'm talking about here. So here's the pilot bearing. The end of the input shaft for the transmission sits in here. And when I installed this, it was not flush with the face of the flywheel like this. It was in farther. But when I installed the flywheel, it seems to have pushed the pilot bearing out. So I'm guessing that the end of the crankshaft, which is what's inside here, coming out of the end of the engine, sticks out a little bit into the flywheel, and so it pushed the pilot bearing out as I installed the flywheel. And as I try to push this in, it just won't go in any farther. So I guess that's where it's supposed to sit. It's just about flush, maybe a tiny bit proud of flush, but when I try to tap it in, it won't go in any farther. And the inner race does not seem to be binding up on the end of the crankshaft in there, so I guess we're good. So now that the flywheel is in there and installed and the pilot bearing's in and everything's clean, I need to install the clutch. But I first need to assemble the clutch onto the alignment tool. And so this is the alignment tool. Basically just has the right pilot bearing diameter here and the right spline count and size here. It's basically just a copy of the input shaft of the transmission so that you can get everything lined up right. But this whole assembly weighs like 120 pounds, and I don't think I'm going to be able to assemble it out here and then get it under the truck and up onto the flywheel without getting it filthy or scratching it up. So I think I'm going to try to assemble it under the truck and then just lift it into place. I'm not sure if that's going to work, but I'm going to give it a shot. So now this whole assembly, which is 2 friction discs and the intermediate pressure plate, needs to go up on the flywheel. And I have 2 studs in there just for assembly. I'll hang the intermediate pressure plate on those studs and put the pilot of the alignment tool in the pilot bearing, and then I should be able to put the pressure plate on after that, if I'm understanding how to do this correctly. This is in place. I'm a little confused by, in the instructions, how it says to knock through these 4 roll pins until they touch the flywheel. Here, 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 and here. I don't really get, like, if I push those through, I'm pretty sure they're just gonna either fall out the other side or be scratching against the flywheel. And I don't really see why they're needed at all, because these straps align the pressure plate here with this, I don't even know what to call it, the ring that bolts on to the clutch mounting bolts. So I don't super understand the point of those pins, which makes me a little nervous installing them. But I also don't want to take them out and discover that they were crucial and that everything's misaligned now. So now I put the main clutch assembly, which I guess is the pressure plate and the throwout bearing, over the back of this whole thing. I hope I can get these studs out. I wonder if they're too short. These two. I guess I'll find out. I don't think this fits over the alignment tool, which is problematic. Excuse the crazy angle and hair. Because of the way this clutch alignment tool is designed, you have to put the whole clutch on the alignment tool at one time. So I'm going to try that. It's really heavy, so it's going to be kind of hard to get it into place, but if this doesn't work, I'll try modifying the tool. Come on. Oh, so close. Okay, I'm back under the truck. I took a break and had a snack so that I would not get overly frustrated and hurt myself, because I already kind of did by trying to lift the whole clutch up at once. Figured out 2 things. One is the clutch is not symmetrical, and I think neither are the holes in the flywheel. So I need to make sure that I get the right holes in the pressure plate lined up with the right holes in the flywheel, otherwise this just won't go on. So that part, I've got one side I've figured out by just putting all the bolts through the intermediate pressure plate and the main pressure plate, which is under here, and making sure they all fit. And then I'm going to put some kind of mark on here so that I know which way it lines up. And then I also need to figure out
how these holes line up with the holes on the flywheel. I also moved the studs out wider, which I think will make the whole process a little easier. So once I figure out how that all lines up, then I should be able to put this on there. And the other thing I did was I want to be able to put the main pressure plate on after I've put the intermediate plate and the 2 friction discs on the flywheel. But I couldn't do that before because this end of the tool was too wide to allow that, so I ground this down, and now hopefully I should be able to put the main pressure plate onto this from the back, and that should make everything a lot easier. I was able to get the 2 friction plates and the intermediate pressure plate on without too much drama. Moving the studs out to the sides helped a lot. And I also made some longer ones because I realized the ones I had were going to be too short. And now, because I've ground down the end of the alignment tool, I should be able to just put the main pressure plate over the back of all this onto these 2 studs. That's the theory anyway. Come on, okay. Getting all the bolts that hold the clutch into the flywheel was a bit of a task. It was hard to get them all lined up, but I have them all lined up now and snug down, so I really just gotta torque all these and then pull this alignment tool out. Now we're gonna find out if removing this is gonna be easy or fucking impossible. Oh, that was pleasantly surprising. I didn't even get to finish my sentence. Sweet. That's a good sign. I keep procrastinating finishing this video because I couldn't find a good place to stop it. I didn't have any good clips recorded to end the video from the time when I recorded it. So here I am in the future telling you that that's the end of the video. So see you on the next one.
Fruitful harvest and a wicked garden of a forbidden tree.